He had been working on the drawing for hours, locked away in complete silence in his study, letting his imagination run wild. The only sound that could be heard was the soothing scratching of his pencil on the textured paper. When he had finished, George stood up and took a step back, proud of the work he had done. He was an extraordinary artist, more extraordinary than any other artist in the entire world. As George spoke the magic word, the ship's sails started to flutter as if a strong breeze blew through the room. He loved this moment, seeing his creations come to life. For today's lesson, we're going to be thinking about alliteration. Do you know what alliteration is? Have you heard of that word before? Well, if you're not sure, today we're going to be thinking about what that word means and when we can use it in our writing. Alliteration is when we use the same sound at the beginning of a word lots of times in one sentence. Now, we can use this for fun in things like tongue twisters, which we will talk about in a moment. You can also use it in poetry and in descriptive writing to make things seem more powerful or dramatic, and just to make our writing sound a bit more interesting. So, I've got a question for you. Do you know any character names from books, comics, films, stories, cartoons that use alliteration in their names? I'm going to give you a couple of examples now, but I would imagine that you can come up with some more at home. So you can always pause the video if you want to think of some more. What about Mickey Mouse? Donald Duck? If you know the Marvel comics, think about some of the characters from there. Peter Parker, that's one. I wonder if you can think of any more, or any other examples of alliteration that you know of. Now, we all know that there are some tongue twisters, and I think we've practiced these before at school, and I'm not normally very good, so I might get it wrong, but that's okay. What about she sells seashells on the seashore? That was pretty good, wasn't it? That was pretty good, but it wasn't very quick. I wonder if you can do that one at home. I will put the words up here and you can have a go at having a read of that and see if you can do it quickly. It's called a tongue twister for a reason. It's really hard to say. I've got another one for you as well. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper... Oh. It's a tongue twister. It's really hard to say. And all of those words start with the same letter, don't they? I wonder if you noticed that at home. Have a go. It's quite good fun. It's very silly. But it's helping you to learn about alliteration as well. Now, in your work today, you will have had a look at the picture of the ship, and you will have listened to or read the story starter that is inspired by that picture. Now, in that story starter, there are a few examples of alliteration. So see if you can spot them, or you may have spotted them already. What you're going to do today is you're going to have a go at writing some sentences using alliteration inspired by that picture and thinking about a grand ship which is sailing through the sea. Sailing through the sea. Can you see what I did there? Two words that have the same sound at the beginning. And you're going to have a go writing a few sentences. Maybe 5 sentences would be a good thing to aim for today. It doesn't have to be just written about the ship. You can imagine if you were riding on the ship, what would it be like? What might you hear? What might you see? You might also like to think for your sentences about George, the artist who is creating the picture of the ship, and then something wonderful happens. Use some of those ideas and write them down. I'm going to show you a couple of examples now. Before I start writing my alliteration sentences, I'm going to think of a few ideas that might be inspired by that picture. Okay, So we have got the ship. I'm going to think of the sea, seagulls. Oh, from the sea, think about the waves. That's quite a good thing to be writing about. The wooden deck of the ship. Oh, I've got an idea now. Thinking about the sails. I'm sure I could write something descriptive about the sails. Maybe the ship's wheel. Oh, the anchor. That's quite a good one, isn't it? And maybe if I'm thinking about the sails, I might think about the wind or the breeze, because we would need those to power the ship, wouldn't we? Okay, now I've got a few ideas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write with some of those ideas to make my alliteration sentences. Now that I've done a bit of a mind map to get a few starting points for my sentences, I'm going to develop those sentences a bit more. So the theme that I want to work on today for this sentence is seagulls. Now, I can't see the seagulls in the picture, but I can imagine what they sound like, what they look like, and how they're behaving around the ship. Now, seagulls starts with the letter S. So I want to make sure that lots of my words in my sentence have the S sound. Okay, so I'm going to write a few things that might be useful for me for when it comes to writing my sentence. Seagulls, they squawk, don't they? They swoop. Oh, they're in the sky. They make a loud sound, don't they? We're near the sea, which is by the shore. We can have sand. All of these ideas might help me to build my sentence. Let's see if we can use some of these ideas and write them together. The seagulls swoop and squawk over the sound of the sea. I'm quite pleased with that. I have got s, 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 s. The seagulls swoop and squawk over the sound of the sea. It's quite an impressive sentence, isn't it? Using lots of words that have the same sound. That is alliteration, and that's what I'd like you to have a go at today.